And welcome to Crux Investor. Caught up with Stephen Roman, CEO of Global Atomic, earlier to catch up on the news of their mining permit being issued pre-Christmas. Also, we ask some of the questions that have been sent in by you guys. If you want our thoughts and opinions on the conversation, the answers, and the company itself, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club. Where you can also find detailed company reports, such as the one we did on Global Atomic. There is commentary from market experts from around the world on various companies and commodities. There are training videos on there to save you some time and help you with your diligence. There's also summaries of other interviews that we've done. And of course, there's a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, safe environment, free from trolling and abuse. Isn't that nice? So go and check that out at cruxinvestor.com/club. Of course, we'd love your feedback too. So do give us a like and leave your comments below. We'll try and get back to you. And of course, if you want to see what we talked about today, take a look in the description. Stephen, how you doing, sir? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Matt. Happy New Year. Good to see you.
Good to see you. And you finished the year quite well. You must be pleased.
Yeah, we're very pleased. A lot of hard work by many people adding to the effort. And, we had a very successful outcome on the 23rd of December by presidential decree and passed by the council. We received our mining permit for the DASA project. So from submittal of our development plan and application in September, it was, as we expected, a very quick process in Niger. So that's one of the prime reasons we are there, looking for great projects with a good permitting regime.
So if I look back to 2020, I mean, the two big moments for me, certainly in terms of the share price appreciation, in terms of the market understanding of what it is that the way that you go about differentiating yourself from the also rans, as it were, was the PEA. The numbers, I think, surprised people. And I think the mining permit just before Christmas, you got that out before the election. So were you surprised at getting the mining permits out so quickly?
Well, we had a good indication when we submitted our development plan that because the government wanted to get specific items done prior to the election, that we were high on the list to get our permit approved fairly quickly, and they were true to their word, and obviously we got it before the election.
Right.
So, it was a very, very positive year for Global Atomic.
Definitely. I mean, when we were talking to you, I think one part of the year, you're about 40 cents at one point. You're now up about 160. So that's 4 times. So I think shareholders have got to be pleased, that's for sure. But there's no rest for the wicked, Stephen. You've got to move things forward, right? So the plan is to do a bankable feasibility study on the phase 1 flank zone to allow you to get into production early. This mining permit allows you to kind of also move things along on that front. So what is the plan now, and what's the timing on that? And have you got the cash to be able to do it?
Well, that's many questions you ask, and I will go through them. Number one, yes, we do have the cash to do it. Number two, we are working very diligently on completing our bankable feasibility study. That's probably done by Q3. We're currently doing geotech drilling to complete that, to finalize our mine plan. And we are also completing our pilot plant studies. So we ship material from the DASA deposit, first 5 years of mining, brought it to Canada, built the pilot plant, ran it through that pilot plant, and we should have results coming out on that very soon. That will also be integrated into our feasibility study. So, optimizing the flow sheet, optimizing the process plant, and all of those engineering details. So that's all in the works, Matt. And that's all on schedule, and we expect news to be flowing for the first few months of the year as we complete these initiatives.
Right. Okay. So we did a report on you in the middle of last year, I guess, around the time of the PEA. We used a lovely phrase, I think, was a category of one. Okay. So you're one of the few companies that we think can get into production anytime soon, who hasn't already been a producer or isn't in care and maintenance, that is. But can you give people an idea of when you think the timing for that is, and what are the barriers? What are the things that are going to hold you back from getting into production quickly?
Well, I think the biggest barrier would be, of course, raising sufficient financing in some sort of a project loan to do it. There's no other barriers, really. We have our mining permit now. We have all the engineering and all of the work being completed. We're putting a team together to be able to do all of this work and move the project forward. You'll see more news on that soon. And, just with the uranium market sort of sitting at a $30 spot price, and of course, term is around $35. Now, we are profitable at those prices, but, I think the market needs a little bit more of a sign that uranium prices are moving ahead. And, of course, then there's going to be more financing available. Now, on that front, I must say that we've had a lot of approaches from groups that want to finance the company. So we feel very optimistic about being able to do this. And, there are different types of financings we can look at. We can look at a project loan, including some debt, a bit of equity. We can look at, leveraging the cash flow from our Turkish operations. So, we have a number of different ways to go ahead and do this. Of course, the bigger banks, they want to see the completed bankable feasibility study. So that's the main goal right now. Let's get that completed, get the numbers out. I think the numbers are going to be better than the PEA in my estimation based on work we're doing. So, and the market needs to realize this market value we have right now of about $250 million. We're only talking about the flank zone here. The whole Dasa deposit is 250 million pounds. We're talking about mining 45 million pounds thereabouts on the flank zone. So you're looking at maybe 18 to 20% of the deposit.
So if I may on that, so just a reminder, because I think we did have a question sent in around that, which was, are you fully valued, given that the NPV is around the same as the enterprise value? You're talking about less than 20% of the company relates to that NPV. Okay, understood. So
that's without zinc.
And that's what I was about to say. So what do you think you're getting in terms of value for the zinc today?
Well, you know what? If you look at Befesa's stock price, they're our partner. They have just about the same amount as we have, although they have other operations in Europe, obviously. But they're trading at 10 to 12 times EBITDA. Their stock is at 55 euros or dollars right now. And, obviously zinc price is at $1.28 a pound. So, if you just extrapolate what we should be worth, that zinc operation of ours is worth about 150 million US, I would say right now, which is most of our market cap. So I think, getting the mining permit obviously created a catalyst and brought our name to the forefront of uranium companies. So we added probably $100 million of market cap to the value of our zinc asset. So there's a long way to go here.
How do you play that? Okay, because the zinc component, once the debt is paid down, which is going to, I think from the last time we spoke, it's going to take another sort of 18 months or so, depending on zinc prices, obviously, before it starts putting cash.
Less than that.
Less than that. Okay, what about 12?
Oh, max 12.
Max 12. Okay, so and then the terms of the contract, you get paid March of each year, right?
So we get monthly management and sales commissions. So that covers a lot of overhead costs. And then once a year, we extrapolate how much money we've made, and a dividend is paid to the partners. So that's declared at the annual meeting every year, and then the dividend is paid. So that's the majority of the big cash that comes in annually. And then, of course, every month you get the other fees.
Right. And what are you, well, I don't know if you've got it down on the books or if you've got it down as part of your business plan. What do you think the zinc component is going to contribute on an annualized basis?
Well, if it stays the way it's running right now, so we're running at capacity at the moment. So the steel industry is picked up in Turkey. There's a lot of waste. We are processing this waste. We're a green company that cleans things up and produces no carbon. So, you know what? We are running at capacity, and the zinc price is $1.28. If it stays like this, we'll be kicking out, I would say in the range of 12 to 15 million net to us on an annual basis.
Right.
It's a pretty significant amount. It'll support, a fair bit of debt if we want to leverage that cash flow to build the Dasa mine.
Well, that's what interests me, because that operation, those sorts of operations are run and run and run. That's just going to an annuity stream of cash. So how do you treat that? Do you just take that as a cash machine? Do you sell it forward? Do you cash it in today? I mean, how do you look at it? Where do you think the big prize is? Is it Dasa, or is it running the two side by side? Or I mean, how are you thinking about it?
Well, the steady state cash flow we get out of our Turkish operations, I think could easily support a 200 to 300 million market cap, in my estimation, because it's long-term steady cash flow. So as you say, it's an annuity. I mean, the big upside where you get up into the 500 million, 750 million to $1 billion market cap, that's going to come from Dasa. So Dasa is a standout uranium project. It's very large. It's high grade. We haven't explored all the strike extensions, down dip extensions on this deposit. So it's going to get even bigger than where it is. But, when we hit 250 million pounds, we said, hey, you know what? We have enough here. Let's start a mine. Let's get our mining permit. And, we'll continue developing this asset as time goes by. There's going to be big demand for this. Obviously there's a number of uranium mines shutting down because of ore exhaustion. We've got our memorandum of understanding with Orano to supply them with feed from Dasa. So, this is an asset that's going to keep building in value, particularly if uranium prices start moving ahead, which we expect. We expect same thing's going to happen now. It happened in 2007. There's going to be all of a sudden the utilities are going to wake up, say, holy smoke, there's no supply. They're going to start jumping into the market, and you're going to have a big spike. So I think we're one of the only companies that's going to be a junior company that's going to be ready to go into production to hit that rise in price.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's very exciting.
It is very exciting. But let me come back to it, because I want to totally exhaust and be able to park up the Befesa JV. Okay. So are there any plans? Because I know you're a uranium guy at heart, right? But
well, I'm a mining guy.
You're a mining guy. Okay. Made money everywhere. But the zinc component, there's no plans to expand that, because you sort of see these very large infrastructure projects in China, all across Europe, in the US coming up. So steel production is a big part of that. So in terms of feedstock, you're good, I guess. But would you want to push that envelope? Would you want to increase the scale of that JV? Would you be looking to do any M&A potentially, but also capex raises to build the scale of that operation in Turkey?
Well, the Turkish operation, you may recall, we just built a brand new plant in 2019. And we bumped the size from 60,000, 65,000 ton a year throughput to 110,000 to 120,000 tons. So we've pretty much doubled the size of that operation. We also made it much more efficient, much cleaner, the highest tech available for this recycling type of plant. And so, we have moved ahead with expanding that operation in that regard. Now with Befesa, we have a JV that says, if there's other opportunities in Turkey, we will do them jointly, the same as we're operating this plant. So, in other parts of the world, of course, Befesa are building some plants in China right now. They have a number of plants in Europe. There are potentially other opportunities out there, and we get along very well with Befesa. They're a great partner, and obviously, if there are opportunities, typically we show them to Befesa and say, hey, would you be interested in maybe doing something on this project?
Okay.
So there's always a possibility of that, Matthew.
But I'm just trying to think jurisdictional risk for them. They're comfortable with Turkey, but not necessarily. There may be other risks associated with building it too big. And you feel that you've done enough scaling for now. Is that the reality?
Well, in Turkey, yes, we have enough scale in Turkey at this time.
Okay, so let's talk about uranium. Okay, so I think the smart money is suggesting that second half of 2021 we're going to start seeing term contracts, and possibly after the WNA, after Nashville, etc. That's when utilities generally talk to each other. They get in a room and can talk, And I hope this year we can get in a room and talk to people. Is that your expectation of when you think things will start to move? Because obviously people new to this, I think we've explained ad infinitum around spot versus contract or term contracting, the difference in pricing and what's important to companies to get financing. But do you have a view of when things will start moving? Because the spot price is $30 today. It's nowhere near where you need it to be.
Well, you know what? It's hard to say when utilities are going to actually start to move. But the good thing is that they're starting to talk. So they are speaking to uranium producers like Cameco, like Kazatomprom, and even like Global Atomic. So we've been approached by a couple of people that want to do offtake agreements right now. So you know what? This is all going to shake out in the next few months, and we obviously, that's another a good point relating to financing a project. If a banker sees that you've got offtake agreements with 3 or 4 utilities, they're going to be more amenable to loan you some money to build your project. So this is all part of the plan, Matt.
But the kind of catch-22 for you here is, you don't want to do term contracts at $30 or $35. Yeah, I know you could.
No, you wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do that, right? Because that's no good for your shareholders, no good for you. But so how are these conversations? I guess it's encouraging people coming to you because they think you can get into production. Okay, so that's an endorsement, I guess. There won't be too many companies having those sorts of conversations, certainly. But how do the big funds who may want to give you the cash value you? Are they going to have to wait until the BFS is complete? I mean, when you say people have approached you, what sorts of conversations are you having? Is it just literally getting information from you, or are they actually negotiating or starting to trying to understand the basis under which you will do business?
Well, I think first of all, the utilities need to know when you can actually deliver yellow cake. So our plan is to start earthworks in early 2022. We could potentially start shipping ore from the mine to a nearby mill in 2023. And if all goes according to plan, we would be producing our own yellow cake sometime towards Q3 of 2024. So if you look at the term pricing on uranium for 2024, 2025 delivery, you're up in the $40 plus range at that point. And, that's definitely an incentive price for us to go ahead. So you wouldn't be signing things on today's price. You would be signing them on pricing 2 to 3 years out.
Right. And just talking about the mill component is how do you negotiate something like that? Because he who controls the mill controls the district. It's the old cliche in the States, right? So in terms of the deal with the mill owner, Orano, how do you go about having those discussions? Are they forward pricing it? I mean, how do you get the best deal?
Well, that's all in the works at the moment, Matthew. So, the MOU we signed said that they would buy it at spot, but, of course, spot is fluctuating. So, they would pay us for the uranium that's contained in the ore, less a processing fee. So that's the way it's based currently. Our MOU stipulated 100,000 tons a year would be shipped to them for 5 years. And, we've been sort of discussing those terms and other terms that have been put on the table. So, that's something hopefully we'll get some clarity on in the next few months.
Okay, fine. I think that's good. I think that's me. I'm intrigued by the fact that you're having these conversations now. Because it didn't seem there's not a lot of people talking about conversations at the moment at these prices. I think people are still sitting back and waiting. What we are seeing is a lot of generalist funds are stepping in on the equities side of things, picking up some stock here and there, who have been watching, I guess, for the last year. So they must believe it's about to move. And if I look at the equity prices,
well, I think there's been a sea change, as they say, in the U.S. thinking. So U.S. institutions are definitely on the uranium bandwagon right now. They realize that for a low carbon future, they need to be supporting nuclear development. So you're seeing a lot of buying coming out of U.S. institutions. And of course, there's no other junior out there really that is positioned the way we are, with a large high-grade deposit that just received its mining permit. I mean, holy smoke. We're, as you said, we're in a category of one.
That you are. Okay, I better let you go because this was meant to be a quick phone call, so I apologize for the extra questions, but keep doing what you're doing. 2021 could be a good year for you boys. I'll expect a phone call when the next exciting thing happens.
Oh yeah, we'll keep you posted.